Hey guys, we're going to be checking out the gaming performance on the iPhone 6. You can see the games I'll be testing right here. The first three games, Modern Combat 5, Beach Buggy Racing and Asphalt 8, are in the App Store under the iOS games list, which apparently take advantage of the new metal coding. Basically, that should lead to more detail and graphics in-game while still keeping the frame rate high. We'll also be testing out Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, that's quite an intense game, and also Galaxy on Fire 2 HD, so yeah, let's get on with it. So first up we have Modern Combat 5. Unfortunately there isn't an FPS meter that I can use on iOS to show the frames per second on screen, so we'll have to judge that by eye, which I know isn't the best way, but hey, we don't really have much choice. I've played a fair amount of games, I'm usually pretty good at estimating frame rate, so we should be fine. Now this game straight from the get-go looks fantastic. The effects and lighting really do stand out. I'm not sure exactly how much of that is down to the new metal coding, but this game really does look absolutely fantastic. In terms of the performance, it felt very smooth to play. If I were to take a stab at the frame rate, I'd say it was in the 50 plus range most of the time. However, when there's loading going on, like going into a new section, you may get a little pause or a little judder. There's also a pretty serious glitch going on right now in the sky. It's flickering like crazy, as you can see. That's obviously a bug in the game due to the new coding, which I'm sure will be fixed very soon. But right now, it's pretty distracting and kind of annoying. It's always there, it doesn't ever go away. The first time I aim down the sight, which you're about to see, you'll notice some drop frames and lag. But after that initial first time, it was all smooth every other time I aimed down sight. As I mentioned before, the effects in this game are pretty awesome. You're about to see a building fall down, which I think looked pretty cool, especially when you consider this is on a mobile device. It just shows you how far games are coming on mobile devices now. You'll also see some splash effects on the screen when this helicopter fires its missiles. All in all, performance on Modern Combat 5 was very good on the iPhone 6, bar a few little hiccups during initial loading. And yeah, let's hope that glitch gets fixed in an upcoming update as well, because as you can see, it's quite distracting. Next up we got Beach Buggy Racing. This is one of the rarer games on iOS that gives you graphics options. Resolution is set to maximum, so that's 1334 by 750 on the iPhone 6. And all the other settings are maxed out as well, so we're running at the absolute maximum settings the game can handle here. And once again, the frame rate was just very smooth. There was no slowdowns in this game whatsoever. I didn't feel any lags or any judders like I had in Modern Combat 5. This is another game that was enhanced by that metal coding for iOS 8, but quite honestly I didn't see a difference in the effects or graphical settings on this game when I played it on my Nexus 5. Of course, that could just be me not paying enough attention to the small details, but it basically looks the same to me when it was running on the same maximum settings. What I will say is this game felt like it was running at 60 frames per second the entire time. As I mentioned before, I didn't notice any slowdowns. When I played this on my Nexus 5, it did slow down at the beginning when you kind of started a new race, but that wasn't the case here. It felt smooth right from the get-go all the way to the end. Of course, one of the reasons for that is the fact that the iPhone 6 is running at a 720p resolution, whereas the Nexus 5 is running at full 1080p. That's a lot more pixels to push and is going to cause more strain on the GPU, which in turn is going to lead to a lower frame rate. So to sum up, for Beach Buggy Racing, performance here was pretty much perfect. As I said, there was no slowdowns or anything. Moving on to Asphalt 8, and this game felt a little bit strange actually. It didn't feel as smooth as the other games, but I don't think that's the iPhone 6's fault. I believe this game actually has a frame cap, so I don't think it can go above something like 35 or 40 FPS, so that's probably the reason why. But I didn't see any major drops in frame rate that kind of ruin your experience. It felt relatively smooth, just not quite as smooth as the other games did. Again, this is one of those games that was optimized for the metal coding. It was in that iOS 8 games list, but quite honestly I'm struggling to see a difference to how I normally play Asphalt 8. There's no issues at all with performance here. I had no stutters or slowdowns, and that's pretty much the story for all games on iOS. I find that iOS devices do handle games better than the Android counterparts. There could be a few reasons for that. One of them could be the fact that Android generally has higher resolution screens on their devices. The other one could be a factor of optimization. There's a lot less hardware for developers to optimize for Apple devices, whereas Android has different CPUs, different GPUs and different screen resolutions, not to mention other hardware like memory, and devs just aren't going to optimize for every single device out there, and that's one of the main reasons I think iOS devices perform better in the gaming department. Next up we have GTA. This is a game that can bring a lot of devices to their knees. It requires a strong CPU and GPU together to play smoothly. Again, I believe this game is capped at around the 30 mark, so don't expect absolute buttery performance like 60 frames per second. The game doesn't give any options for graphical settings other than traffic density. By default that was set to heavy, so that's why I left it on. And yeah, this is one of the smoothest experiences I've had with GTA on a mobile device. It handled driving around in built up areas without any noticeable slowdown. and it was just very enjoyable to play. A lot of times with devices I've had to wait for the game to kind of catch up on itself, especially when there's a lot of cars going past. I never really saw any major slowdowns, even when there was a lot of action going on or when I was in a built up area. That just didn't happen. The iPhone seems to handle this game really well, and this woman I was fighting on the street right here, she could take a punch. Look how many punches it took her to get her down, damn. And then as I was trying to flee from my crime, I got ran over by a car. Don't you just love GTA? But yeah, once again, performance on GTA was awesome on the iPhone 6. It's definitely one of the smoothest experiences I've had with the game on a mobile device. And lastly, we played Galaxy on Fire 2 HD, and the iPhone 6 just had no problems with this game at all. Now, it's not the most graphically intense game, but I have seen some devices struggle. There's a lot of kind of effects going on. I can tell you this game is running on the highest effects. You can tell that by the lens flare you get on the camera, and also by that kind of smoke you're seeing in space as well. That isn't there if it's not on the highest effects. And once again, the iPhone 6 is just doing excellent with its performance here. It looks fantastic and it plays fantastic. So yeah, there you have it guys. As always, Apple devices seem to excel in the gaming department, and the iPhone 6 is no different. If you're someone that's really into mobile games and it's one of your main factors in your buying decision, you should definitely take a look at the iPhone 6, as it's one of the best gaming phones on the market. The iPhone 6 should theoretically have better performance than the 6 Plus, as it isn't running full HD, so it has less pixels to push. I picked up the device after about half an hour of playing, and it really wasn't warm at all, hardly a noticeable difference, so that's quite impressive there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Peace out.